With the recent rise of roguelites within Pokemon, Emerald Rogue just unleashed a massive update bringing all new Pokemon up to Gen 9, terastalization, and new routes with updated biomes and graphics, and other features will be explained throughout the video. Let's try to hit 1500 subs by the summer, and let's see what this game has to offer. When you start the game, you have the option to choose your difficulty. You can change the difficulty of the trainers, but also the battle format to singles and doubles if you wish to play that way. You now get the option to choose between modern and classic mode, allowing you to play with Pokemon up to Gen 9 or not. Character customization now lets you use every protagonist from their generation of Pokemon and being able to change the color of their skin and clothing to your preference. I chose Light as my name and the lighthouse as our village. We wake up after being passed out and Professor Elm tells us to visit his lab to go further on. We decide to check out the config lab where Fennel shows us where we can change some settings from before. New settings allows us to change some game settings, graphic settings like day and night cycles and the weather, with text speed and audio settings too. We go into the lab where unexpectedly this hiker needs some help with the Pokemon invading, so we decide to go help them. We follow Elm and talk to this lady telling us to go right, and we arrive to see Elm where he needs our help and gives us a Pokeball to catch a Pokemon with. Items now appear on the top and Pokemon now roam around in the overworld. We decide to encounter this Darumaka, and this is one of the new UI changes during the battles, as you notice. We catch this Darumaka easily, and Professor Elm congratulates us and we head back to the lab. Professor Elm was impressed with our throwing technique and gave us more Pokeballs to throw, potions, and a Pokedex to collect our Pokemon data. His assistant comes to talk to us where now our Pokemon are able to follow us. We head west where we visit the lighthouse. The statue shows us a map of the entire area we're in, including the labs, town center, and the safari area. We decide to head into the Pokemon Center where it explains a brand new feature that allows us to play multiplayer with our friends. That's if we have them. Details on how this works are within the game and the Emerald Rogue Discord. It is time for us to start our new adventure, but the lady over here tells us to look at the quest board. The quest board has some achievements that we can do throughout our runs, like defeating gym leaders, Elite Four members, and the champion, with other stuff as well for rewards. As we begin, we are greeted with many options. We decide to go to the mysterious sign where the lady offers us 4,000 to know what mon the next gym leader has, but the other lady tells us the exact type. At these new routes, items are found on the floors like healing items, mints, and Pokeballs. We encounter this Tinkerton where we throw a Pokeball and instantly catch it. Killing encounter gives a set amount of levels and moves are now taught from the menu, like our Darumaka learning Incinerate. Evil Team Grunts can be found in routes and TMs can be found on the floors. We head our way out to the Mart rest stop where we can get more items. The Mart shop includes Pokeballs, expensive TMs, and a regular generic shop. We head to our first gym, which is Lenora. She leads with a Noibat and I switch out into a Tinkerton where Noibat goes for a double team. We go for a Fairy Wind which misses, but we go for another Fairy Wind which does half. Noibat goes for another double team where another Fairy Wind lands and kills the Noibat. Something glitches out here in this battle and we weren't sure what. We go for a Fairy Wind and she keeps bringing out these invisible Pokemon. Eventually a Minccino comes out. It goes for an echoed voice on us and we go for a Metal Claw which does over half with a critical hit. We go for another Metal Claw which takes it down to red health, but unfortunately we're infatuated with love and we send out Darumaka who gets put to sleep and gets taken down by an echoed voice. Deaths are permanent and we swap over to Tinkerton who eventually takes down this Minccino with a Metal Claw. Apom's the last mon as we get tickled and it reduces our attack. Metal Claw does not do that much, but eventually with a lot of Fairy Winds, we take down the Apom and Lenora has been defeated. It was time for some new routes. We go over to the Hidden Grotto where we encounter a strong Pokemon, a Lunatone, which we catch in one ball. We go to the average sharp route and get some items until we encounter a Pawmi. We catch this Pawmi and also level it up so it can evolve. We learn some new moves and we encounter this trainer at the end here. Murkrow goes for a wing attack and we go for a draining kiss, which we newly learned. Another draining kiss was enough to take down this Murkrow, and we have defeated this trainer. Surprisingly, we are met with the handsome N, part of Team Plasma, who's yapping about hearing our Pokemon's voices, and we have to go and battle him, of course. So we lead Tinkaton and go for a draining kiss on the Chinchou. This didn't do that much damage, so we bring out Pormo as the Chinchou goes for charge. We decide to go for an arm thrust, which luckily hits 5 times for us, and Metang is the next one out. We dig a hole and use dig, which does over half on the Metang. Metang goes for a Zen Headbutt, which kills our Pormo, and eventually we go for Astonishes until again our Tinkaton is down from the Metang. Lunatone comes out to clean up on the Metang, and Clobbopus is his last mon, which a Moonblast super effective is enough to kill, and that is N. Our next path ahead was the Pokemon of Legends. Now this was a Shaman for us, and luckily in one Pokeball we managed to catch the Shaman. It was time for the gym leader. We go to the sign and spend 2,000 to learn that the gym leader is a ground type. We decide to go to the level cap where we kill a level 1 Chansey, and it was now time for Clay. We decide to lead Shaman and go for a Leech Seed on the Clink. He goes for a Metal Sound, but we go for a Magical Leaf, which does not much damage. He goes for a Discharge, which doesn't do much damage to us, so we go for a Growth so our Magical Leaf has more damage output. We kill the Clink eventually, and Stunfisk is out next. Stunfisk managed to live and uses a Citrus Berry. Mudshot lowers our speed, but with another Magical Leaf, Stunfisk was taken down. Inkay was his last mon, and with 2 Magical Leaves, we managed to get out of confusion from the Swagger, and Inkay was down, and so was Clay. It's time for us to go through the average Fierce route. We chose this route because it hosts Dragon type Pokemon. We encounter an Axew and we throw our Pokeball and catch this Axew in one Pokeball. We decide to get some berries, which we can collect from these berry trees, and decide to exit out into the next route in Viridian Forest. We decide to catch this Absol here, and with great troubles, eventually a Great Ball was enough to take this Absol. Axew can learn Dragon Dance, and it's time for the daycare rest stop. The daycare lady allows you to host one of the Pokemons that you have. The item courier allows you to buy any item, but the catch is you're only allowed to buy one item and you can collect it the next time you meet him. We can heal at the Pokemon Center, and this lady allows you to buy a mint to change your abilities, and at the bottom, some berries that you can buy. Marlon's our next gym leader who specializes in water types. He goes for a headbutt on our Absol as we go for a knockoff. Knockoff does over half, and we go for a detect to see what move it goes for next. Goes for another headbutt, but we do have a Citrus Berry to heal us up. A Night Slash was enough to take down this Basculin. His next mon was Zebstrika, one of the toughest mons that we had to face. We go switch over to Shaman, we tank a Thunderbolt, and we go for a Growth to set up. But a few turns before we got paralyzed and we have to use our Citrus Berry. We find out that Zebstrika has Sap Sipper, so we have to swap out into Axew and tank 2 Thunderbolts before we land a Dragon Claw, which luckily for us does over half. We swap out Axew into Lunatone, which also gets paralyzed by Thunderbolt. Eventually we tank another Thunderbolt, and a Side Shock was able to take down the Zebstrika luckily. Bramblegas is our next mon, and Absol was here to take care of it. We go for a Detect, but I forgot that Phantom Force goes over Detect, so that does a lot of damage. Eventually we use Shaman to take down the Brambleghast, and Emolga too with Leech Seed and Magical Leaf. My dumbass thought the team hideout was the best place to go after we lost a couple of mons, so the first trainer has a Mimikyu that goes for a Swords Dance. We go for Psyshock to break its disguise, and we swap over to Shaman to go for a Magical Leaf and eventually take this Mimikyu down. We tank a Fake Out, and against this Persian we go for another Magical Leaf with just over half. Another Magical Leaf was able to take this down. With that battle, we can now evolve our Axew into a Fracture, who is a bit more powerful now. I wanted to get this item at the bottom left, but we encountered this trainer instead. Luna goes for an E-speed, and Fracture goes for a D-claw, which takes it down to red health. He has a Figgy Berry, and we go for another Dragon Claw to take it down. Bombardier is up next, and we go for another Dragon Claw. Bombardier goes for a Rock Tomb, which lowers our speed. He goes for a Pluck, and our Fracture was able to live that, and we go for another Dragon Claw to take it down. Krogo is the last mon, and we defeat it with a Psyshock from Lunatone. The next battle was brutal. Skunk Tank goes for a Sucker Punch as we go for a Moonblast, and 2 Moonblasts was able to take it down. A Moonblast takes down the Drampa, and a Power Gem was able to take down Turtonator. Our team was low, and luckily we found 3 energy roots that we can use for the next battle. We evolve our Fracture with the rare candies we found next to it, and now it was time to battle N. We start this battle off with a D-Dance on Haxorus, which increases our attack and speed. Lantern goes for an Ice Beam, which crits. We're down to 1 HP, but Dragon Claw was able to take down the Lantern. Metagross is out next, and he goes for a Bullet Punch to take down our Haxorus. Shaman's out, and we go for a Leech Seed. We go for another Magical Leaf, taking it down slowly but surely. The Zen Headbutt goes for a crit, and a Bullet Punch takes us out. Thankfully, Lunatone was able to take down the Metagross, and we go for a Power Gem against Kadabra, but it wasn't looking so good. We go for another Power Gem, but unfortunately he outspeeds us and goes for an Energy Ball. Unfortunately, N was too powerful for us, and that was our run ended. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this helped you play Emerald Rogue yourself.